kissing, where them hands, where them holes, where them throws, you know what I'm saying?
And while they were here, they always wore masks.
At saving lives and keeping people out of the hospital than the vaccines, which are doing exactly what they were designed to do, which is preventing serious illness, hospitalizations, and death.
So I just finished watching the video called Delusional Bimbo Thinks That She Can Knock Out... Delusional Bimbo said she would knock out Myron? Double question mark. So they're basically talking about the idea that there is no way in the world that a woman could ever in life beat up a man in hand-to-hand combat. It just can't happen ever. That is not true. See, the problem with this topic is that this is one of those things where everybody tends to be right from their point of view. And the only reason why I do not 100% co-sign with the idea that she's just ridiculous for thinking she could beat that guy, it is only because of things that I have seen myself. But let me get a couple of things out the way straight up. On average, pound for pound, the average woman does not stand a chance against the average man. Let me repeat that. On average, the average woman does not stand a chance against the average man. We know this. This is why there are weight classes in contact sports and why they separate contact sports by gender. However, that does not mean that there is not a woman who can beat up a man. I have seen it. Now, one thing I would say, if you want to be fair to what was being, if you want to be fair to the women who were trying to say, oh no, I could beat that guy, right? I could beat that trained FBI agent, or the guy who was doing a commentary on it, Donovan Sharp. If you want to be fair, Donovan said that he's like 6'2", 250 pounds. Bruh, there's a lot of people that ain't gonna be able to beat up Donovan Sharp. Dudes, if he's 6'2" and 250 pounds, yeah, good luck with that. Men would need training to be able to handle somebody that big. So I understand why they're so passionately trying to tell women, don't even try, just don't even try. Because if you think that you are a 5'8", 170, 180 pound woman, if you think you could beat up a guy that's 6'2", 250, and you have no training, yeah, you crazy. You are crazy. But training can be the equalizer. For that matter, though, a 5'8" man with that same weight couldn't beat, on average, could not beat a guy who is that big and strong either. So it's not just men against women per se. Size and strength matter. To think that size and strength don't matter is where the ridiculousness comes in. And size and strength on average lean towards men than women. Men on average have bigger bones and tend to have more muscle and are socialized to be more physical, well, they used to be, than women. That's what it is. So from a biological standpoint, a man does have an advantage. But there can be an equalizer. A woman can have more options than just run or grab something. It's not completely hopeless. It's study the martial arts. Now, I would say this is where I disagree with the Fresh and Fit guys and with Donovan, because I know better. I only know because I've actually seen it myself. I've actually seen this. Okay. Training is the equalizer. A woman can train to the point to where she could beat the average guy. or let me put it this way, where if she's attacked and she catches him off guard and she hits him in the right structural weak parts of his body, uses redirection, does not try to match force with force, comes with her response in a super fast, swift, direct, hard, determined manner to daze him, confuse him, and hurt and stun him enough to where she can escape. Yeah, that can happen, and I've seen it happen. She has to, if she gets that one little hit in there, she has to keep flowing and beat that dude down until he is on his knees and can't get up, and then she can stop. Then she can run, because I've seen it happen. I'm going to talk about where I saw that happen at the end of this video, because I hope to God I don't make this go on too long. So, that is what's going to have to happen. But this is the thing, though. And this isn't just with women, this is just with people, period. Anybody who swears, yeah, I can fight and I can just take, I automatically assume that they can't fight. So any woman who thinks, yeah, I can be the guy, no, you can't. And any man who thinks, ain't no way a woman can knock me out, there's a woman that's time enough for you. How can I say this politically correct? If you are a small guy, and if the woman that you are fighting, this is my equation, has 2.5 times your mass, I think she might be able to hurt you. Because my best guess, and I really wish somebody would formulate it, because I do think also that there is an upper limit to technique. My best intuitive guess, and I don't have science on it to really run this experiment yet, is if the person you are fighting has 2.5 times your mass, your advantage, let's say your training or technique, may not be enough. If we're talking without weapons. The things that are supposed to, that's just my guess. I really wish somebody could run that test so we could find out what the upper limits are. But the things that are supposed to equalize, or I'm not even going to say equalize, give women a literal fighting chance, pun intended, that's what training is for. And I'm not talking about sport training where they compete just like an athlete against another athlete, where you got a female athlete competing against a male athlete. I do think that's useful. I think that type of training will help. See, I believe that we should do traditional martial arts and do sports martial arts. You should be studying the traditional techniques and have a sport way where you can get some kind of physicality going against it. So you can build up some sort of tolerance to pain, and if not pain, just exhaustion. You may not be able to do it forever because, biology, but it is a nice place to visit. You just can't live there. But it is a great place to visit. It is a place that you should visit. But that's where things like Kyosho Jitsu, pressure point fighting, the Taekwondo equivalent of that would be Kupso, or just in General Choi's books, he just has hitting weak points on the body. Just structural weak points. They're not a magic pill. You can't just, I'm going to tap you, and then, he's just going to fall down magically. No, you're going to have to really be trying to kill him when you're hitting those weak points to get him off you. One thing, I think it was Myron, that said in his video of if women are attacked by men, they should stay away from them. Yeah, I agree with that. If a man attacks you, try not to let him grab you. But does that mean that you shouldn't grapple with guys? No. So since you know that you don't want a man to grab you in a real situation, a good thing to do would be to train with guys during grappling so that if you are grabbed, you may be able to go after it better. Now, the thing from the Kyusho Jitsu / Hapkido side of the game that's going to really be a problem is that in contest and class, you're not allowed to grab the guy's finger and just crank it real quick so that you can break it. That's the type of stuff that you'd have to practice in a controlled manner. And see, when we practice those type of things in a controlled manner in traditional martial arts, that's when people try to swear, it's fake, you're being fake. Why am I being fake? You're being fake because you're not trying to full force break the guy's arm or break their fingers or gouge your eyes out for real. I don't want to do that, because if I do that for real, then I'm going to maim my training partner. Oh, blah, blah. Okay. Do we put people at the gun range? Do we have them shoot human beings to hit gun range targets? No, we don't. When I had gun training, we didn't shoot at actual people. We shot at targets. So don't spare me your realism arguments. Don't be ridiculous. But anyway, let me get to... All right, so I think we've established what can make it so that a woman could beat up a man? Training. Training does work. Whether you want to believe it or not, training does work. However, I don't think most people are going to put in the type of hours in training that's going to take to where a woman could have a chance of defending herself against the average guy. It's more than just a few classes. It's more than just even 6 weeks of training and getting a belt. It's years. Years of serious study at inconvenient times of sweat and probably some pain and some frustration. Years of it. Years. Years. It's not, I got a self-defense certificate. Now that means I'm going to go beat up that biker dude. I'm going to knock out Pookie and Ray Ray because I just got a yellow belt in Cecil Taekwondo. And that's why people probably overheard me say stuff to students like, oh, you got your yellow belt? Yeah, okay, so yeah, don't think you can whoop a grown man. I say that to my students, even though I've seen a woman whoop a grown man. I'm going to talk about that. And then the students are used to it by now, but other people I've seen back before COVID, if they heard me, they were like, oh. Hey, I'm just telling you the truth. Now, the thing that made me investigate this topic is back in the day. So this is at least 20 years ago when my kids were kids. I was reading about child soldiers and I noticed that they picked people who were like 10 years old and up. And I said, I wonder why they would go as young as 10 years old to pick child soldiers. I wonder if that is because if 10 years old is when a boy can beat a grown woman. Because I had my son cross-training in judo. And I was like, he's never been able to beat any of the women yet. And I said, oh, he just turned 10. And I had just gotten my brown belt and was allowed to be an assistant instructor in judo. So Sensei was letting me run the class. And he was like teaching me, okay, this is how you pair off people. So I was like, all right, so what I'm going to do is we had one woman in the class that was pretty fit for a woman. But I say she was really about average level fitness for a female. But, enough to where she wouldn't have a heart attack or something if probably somebody attacked her. But it's not like she was at a pro level of fitness. But pretty good. So I had my son do mat work against her. Because I figured that's going to be the safest way for me to test out my theory. And he beat her. Wasn't easy, but he beat her. And she was shocked. I didn't know that a 10-year-old could do that to me. I said, yes, they can. But guess what? The 10-year-old doesn't know that, does he? No, I said, so you better keep in their mind. You better have that psychological advantage. If you're working with kids and you have to control them. Now you know the boys can hurt you, but you got to stay in their mind. They don't know. They probably don't know that they can. So that's when I said, okay, so it must be a 10-year-old boy and up can beat a woman that's about his size. And he had more training than her, but it probably averaged out to about the same type of thing. So now here's my exception that, of course, see, people are going to say the exception doesn't prove the rule. I know the exception doesn't prove the rule. However, don't get it twisted. Like I said, like the late Patrice O'Neal said, you can't always. Please, fellas, don't think that there's a woman that can't whoop you. Please, fellas don't think that there's a woman that can't whoop you. It is possible. Okay? You might be looking at her and you may have slapped her and she crying, but you don't know she reaching for that dirk that she carries in her purse. And then the next thing you know, she done sliced your stomach open. And I only know about that because I used to catch the bus with Dirk Lady. I'm sorry I called you Dirk Lady because I can't remember your name. Because I said to him once, I said, why are you out here by yourself? You ain't scared. You act like you ain't scared of me. And she is like, look at my purse. And I looked at her purse, and I looked at the way she said, look at my purse. And I looked at her purse, and she said, now look at me. And she had a knife. She's like, this is what I got. I said, oh, okay. She's like, she's took enough karate to be able to set it up so she can get the knife and slice. And I was like, just don't cut me, because, I'm not going to do nothing. But yeah, she and I would, when she was out there, but she still would look towards me to protect her if anything went down, though, because I was a lot bigger than her. All right, so here's my exception. I swear to you, I'm not making it up. I know the woman. I'm not going to give out her Facebook information. She seems like she's uncomfortable whenever I talk about it. I'm sorry, buddy. But I was there. And the caveat is, this woman had been trained for years by a sibling who had gotten up to like 7th degree black belt in a style. She had years of traditional training. Years. Okay? She didn't get formally ranked, but she was basically his practice person. So when she got trained, she said this is what they did. When he went to class to get trained, when he came home, they would pick at him and try to attack him, and he would end up using his moves on them, and they learned that way. And they did this forever. After a while, he would just show them what they did, and so they're trained, but they just don't have the title. This woman got into an argument with her spouse. The spouse was he her spouse then? I think it was her spouse at the time, her ex. Anyway, so this was like at least 30 years ago now. I pull up. This is how I come into the store. I pull up. I saw this woman and this guy arguing. And it like my radar's going. I was like, oh my gosh, it looks like this woman needs some help because he looks like he's going to attack her. And so she runs away from the guy. So she tried running, right? Like they said to do. Woman, you should always run, right? And you know what he did? He hit her ass with the car. He hit her with the car. And she flew up against the gate. Right? She fell down. So I'm getting out the car. I'm like, me and my boy like, oh man, we're going to have to try to save this woman something, right? She gets up. I swear to God, it's like she jumped up out of Street Fighter. She jumped up. And the dude got out the car and was like squaring up, like flexing, like, what you gonna do? She had jumped up and then she started kicking this dude in the chest, right in the weakest part of the chest, and started laying into the Muhammad Ali butterfly combination. Hook, 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 jab, jab. Hook, 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 jab, jab. All 3 levels of punching. It was the most technical beatdown I had ever seen given from female to male. And like I said earlier in this video, she did not relent. She had that opportunity and she wailed and nailed into that dude. And she caught him and she was beating him. And she beat him so bad, some cops had pulled up to I guess the cops saw it. I don't know where they saw it from. Some cops came. The cops got out the car, they looked, they started laughing, they just let her wail on this dude. And then they intervened, I guess after there was enough, and then I started talking to people, and I just got in my car and drove. I was like, I don't want to get involved in this. The law is here. So, yeah. That can happen. So if you are a man and you think that there is no way in heck that a woman could ever beat you, don't take that approach. Just know that the odds are in your favor. Now, I will say that I think that they were about the same size. If I remember correctly, they were about the same size. And I met her years later, and I said, you gotta, I hate to say this, it's gonna sound crazy, but you gotta look like this woman I saw beat this shit out of this guy like something out of Street Fighter. She rolled her eyes. Yes, that was me. You were the little white car? Yes, that was me in my little white car, because that's all I could afford. That still was all I could afford by the time I had ended up meeting her. Officially. So, yeah, it can happen. So that can happen. But I understand the intensity and the fervor with which the fresh and fit and the Donovan Sharp guys are warning you. Because you know who they're talking to? They're talking to the average. No. They are talking to the type of person who's going to think that they don't need to train in order to beat some dude that's like 6'2" or somebody that's like an ex-FBI agent. If you go on about against anybody that's 6 foot 200 plus, and you think you can do it just because you got a tube, male or female, you're delusional. To me, that's some equal opportunity delusion. And I do have to say, I do kind of agree with him on the whole thing about prey. Because it's just like, that ain't made no sense. The Predator done beat bears, lions, and tigers and bears, oh my. And beat trained warriors, right? That she couldn't beat. Not just because she's a woman, but because they're a lot bigger than her. And they're trained and she's trained, they're probably going to beat her. Because if they're both trained, then the physicalities come right back in. If you train way more than the other person, your training might give you a chance. So then it was like, and the thing is too, she couldn't beat something that the Predator could beat. She couldn't beat the bear. She couldn't beat the lion. The Predator beats the bear and the lion, then she can beat the Predator, although she did have an assist from the dog. Then she turns around and kills like 4 huge French fighters. Anyway, I'm getting off topic. But I would say what we definitely see eye to eye is on that, because that was just like, come on, man. So don't always, people. Don't always. And if you stuck with me to the end, thanks for watching this video. Like, comment, subscribe. We share people that talk about the martial arts. Please check out the Cecil Hip Hop channel as well. Thank you for helping me get to 1,000 subscribers. Those of you who actually watch this channel. Peace, and as always, thank you for your time. And one more time, don't assume, don't always, but don't be unrealistic either, man. If dude is 6 foot something and you're not, good luck.